Hey there, what's going on, y'all? I'm John Doherty, founder of Editor Ninja. So something I hear quite a bit, and a mistake that I've made and kind of had to work through in the past myself, is how do you afford to be able to pay others to produce things for you so that you're not stuck kind of doing all the creation? It's simple math, and it comes down a bit to your salesmanship and kind of the quality of the work that you're able to provide, and therefore what you're able to charge. But I want to show you a spreadsheet today that should help you kind of start to grok this and to start thinking about how you could raise your rates, how you could change kind of the economics of content production in order to actually end up making more dollars. Because what a lot of people end up doing is they don't start charging more, they start outsourcing, and they're making less money and doing more work, right? They've increased the output, but they've also increased their expenses so much that they're not actually making money. So I want to show you what this looks like here. So what we have here is a spreadsheet that shows you. So let's say this is what it takes to create content. You're spending an hour doing strategy. You're spending 4 hours writing, 2 hours editing, and 1 hour doing account management. So a total of 8 hours per blog post. You're charging $500 per blog post. But you're able to put out four because you're working 32 hours a week. You can't really bill more than that. People like to think that they can, but it doesn't actually work out that way. So you're probably gonna settle in around four, which means you're making $2,000 a week, $8,000 a month, $96,000 a year. If you just take into account your production time, you're making about $63 an hour, right? That's 62.50. Versus if you if you basically divide this by 40 and you're working 40 hours, you're basically making about $50 an hour, right? But making close to six figures. That's cool, but this doesn't scale, right? You're only ever going to be able to produce four pieces of content a week, and if you take a vacation, right, then this goes down to 1,500, right? And you do that a couple times a year, and all of a sudden you're down to 92K a year, something like that. So how do you change the economics, or what do you have to change in order to start outsourcing things? So here's an example for you of getting others to write and edit here. So say you are spending an hour doing strategy and research and an hour on the creation. I'm just gonna put this in gray so you can see what you are still doing. You also do an hour of editing, right? It's like review, getting feedback to the writer, that sort of thing. Um, but what you do is you outsource 3 hours, the 3 hours of writing to someone else for a total of 250 bucks. Um, and then you outsource 2 hours of writing, or even just 1 hour of writing, of editing, sorry, to Editor Ninja. The average cost of a doc is about 62.50 for us, for someone on a subscription. So you're now spending about $250 of your time. You're spending about $312 for other people's time. But look at what happens here. If you just shift the writing to someone else and you shift the editing to somebody else, but what this does is because you've now outsourced half of your time, right? You're able to produce 8 pieces of content. But if you're still billing, you're making $4,000 per week, so double what you were before, right? $16,000 a month, $192,000 a year. But you've increased, so the total you're spending per piece is $312.50, right? And you've increased the volume, so you're spending $2,500 every week on content, on production, right? If you're keeping your price at $500, you're now only making $1,500, right? So you're billing double, but your business are making less, right? And this is before all other expenses. And in a micro agency, expenses are pretty low. You don't have a lot of software and that sort of stuff. But so per year, you're making $72,000. That's not awesome, right? Because you're putting out twice the content. Your revenue has doubled, but quote unquote doubled, but you yourself are making less because you're spending so much on others. So the simple way to do this is you need to take into account what you need to raise your prices just straight up. Even if you go from 500 to 650, let's check what 600 does. That's $600, right? You're actually making more money. You're making another, $14,000, something like that per year. Not terrible. And going $500, $600 is not a big jump. But if you can eventually get it up to, but what this does is your cost to others, that what you're charging divided by the cost for others is at 1.92. Ideally, this is going to be closer to 3 to have a profitable agency. So let's see if we can get this up to 750. If we get up to 750 and we're at 2.4, you're still spending the same amount. Now you're making $168,000 a year, right? So that's a big increase from 96. You haven't doubled, right? Because you didn't double the price. If you can charge $1,000 now, good for you. Like really, really good for you to charge, $1,000. That gets you to 3.2x multiplier on what others are on what people are charging you. But if you're at 750, $168,000 a year. Not a bad income, right? $14,000 a month, and $88 an hour, or $109 an hour per hour, per hour that you spend kind of on the production side of briefs and strategy and all of that sort of stuff. So this starts to show you how, as a freelancer, as a micro agency, as just a service business owner, how you need to think about charging in order to actually run a profitable business. You can't keep charging the same amount and just start paying people, because you're actually going to end up making, as I showed you, way less money, right? That you're cutting your income by about 25%. But if you can increase your prices, right, by 50%, you're gonna dramatically increase your income as well. You're gonna be profitable. You're gonna be making a lot more. You're gonna be able to serve more people. You're gonna be able to employ people and pay them money, right, in order to do the things. So reduce cost, but don't overpay for services. But also, when you bring other people on, you're going to need to increase cost. This is why agencies end up charging more money than freelancers often, because they simply have more costs, but they're able to do a lot more, right? And clients like to complain. They're like, oh, agencies are charging me so much more. But yes, but you can also be sure that they're going to get it back to you, right? A freelancer might ghost, they might get sick, they might take on too much work, and their work quality suffers and that sort of thing. Versus agencies, you're kind of paying for a service, like Editor Ninja, you're kind of paying for the certainty that it's going to get done, and it's going to get done right. Or that they're going to be able to take on your work, period. So I hope this helps. Feel free to tweet me any questions at DohertyJF on Twitter. I'm also dohertyjf.bsky.social on Blue Sky if you're on there. And I'd love to talk to you. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm John Doherty. I'm the founder at Editor Ninja. I'll talk to you next time.